This is the Lumix S1 Mark II. This was Lumix's best pinnacle camera from 2025. It was called the Camera of the Year from CineD, I believe, and rightfully so. It has a lot of amazing features that I think filmmakers would want. But that's not what this video is about. Instead, it's about this camera, the one I'm recording the video on right now. This is the Fujifilm X-S20. This is nowhere near what I think the S1 Mark II is as a camera, but what I want to explore in this video is the X-S20 what filmmakers would need from a camera? Does it give professional filmmakers enough camera to actually do their jobs properly? And to decide this, I have some baseline requirements as a professional filmmaker myself that I expect from cameras to be able to do what I need to do for professional shoots. Now, these may not be what you need, but these are what I see as a baseline for my requirements. And they are a high resolution sensor of at least 6K, but minimum, absolute minimum 4K. Higher frame rate options, I at least want to have 4K 60, so I have the option to do slow motion, but ideally a little bit higher. And I'll take it with a crop, but really I wouldn't want a crop in a best case scenario. I need good connectivity options. I'm talking ports, HDMI, microphone, headphone jack, all that stuff. And then lastly, I need time-saving options. And this can be through custom profiles being saved on a dial or just different switches to allow me to do things faster. Because while everyone can argue that these specs are better than those specs, if that camera saves you no time on set, then it's actually a little less valuable than maybe a camera that does. And while this camera does a lot right, it doesn't do everything perfectly, but I will get to that. So here are some things I think the X-S20 does great and what makes it a good choice for professional filmmakers. The Fujifilm X-S20 has a 26 megapixel APS-C X-Trans CMOS sensor. The sensor is back illuminated as well, which improves low light performance. Whilst the X-Trans sensor design is made to reduce the amount of moire in your shot. Now, what this translates to for filmmakers is, well, one, like I said, it's good in low light, which is great, but it has a 6.2K capable open gate shooting mode, which is fantastic for things like shooting with anamorphic lenses or just having more real estate for video to reframe and things like that. 6.2K open gate. That's a nice touch, and that definitely takes off one of the minimum requirements I have from my camera. Now, I should also say that the image you get from this X-S20 looks fantastic. Fujifilm color science is genuinely very good, and I see why there's so much hype about it online. Things like recipes and all of that as well, I get that too, but that's more for photography, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot in this video. Now, all of the shots you're seeing in this video shot on the X-S20, I shot in F-Log and then color corrected and graded using my Kodak and Fujifilm film emulation LUTs, which you can get using that first link in the description below, just below that like button, which you may as well headbutt while you're down there. In terms of slow motion capabilities, we have 4K up to 60 frames per second out of this APS-C sensor. Now, it does come with a crop, which is unfortunate, but I'll take it because 4K 60 with a crop is better than no 4K 60 at all. Now, in terms of I/O, we have a USB-C port for data transfer, a microphone port for your microphones, a headphone jack, which is fantastic, which means we can reliably monitor our audio if you're doing interviews, podcasts, whatever it is. Now, the other area that this camera does really well is it saves you time because it has custom modes on the dial. You have the typical like P, A, M, the film mode, the vlog mode, whatever, but you have custom modes, which means that settings that I use time and time again for different shoots, like I have a 6K 25 frames per second option, then I have a 4K 25 frames per second option for the times I don't need 6K open gate, so I just use 4K, or the 4K 60 custom mode that I save so I can do 4K 60 slow motion when I need it, and then I can switch back to 4K 25 when I need it without having to go through the menus or the quick menu to change different settings. I can just flip a dial, saving a minute or two on set, on location, whatever your shoot is. that actually adds up at the end of the day where you've been changing settings for a total of an hour versus just flicking a dial in 1 second. It makes a huge difference. So far, this camera sounds fantastic, but nothing is perfect. If it is, then it's too expensive anyway, and that's where it becomes imperfect. But anyway, the X-S20. Where does it fall short for filmmakers? Well, where you may be expecting me to go is talking about the APS-C sensor, the fact that there's a 1.5 times crop. And whilst I'm going to touch on this quickly, I wouldn't actually say it's a con. I've used full frame, APS-C, and Micro Four Thirds cameras before, and they all create a great looking image. It doesn't really matter too much, and if anything, it just creates something to bear in mind when you go to shoot your shots, because yes, there's a 1.5 times crop, and that also means that that 1.5 times gets applied to your f-stop. So an f1.2 is actually more like an f2.8. I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm not used to that. There's more math involved with using an APS-C, using a sensor that has a crop. There's more math involved. That's basically it. You don't get a worse image. So I'm not going to talk about it like it's a negative. The only negative is math. So one issue that I have is there's a crop when you want to do higher frame rates. It's not the end of the world. I would like to have it, then not have it like I said before. But, you know, if you could avoid a crop, then that makes it a lot easier. For example, if you wanted to do some wide angle slow motion 4K 60, but you can't because there's going to be a crop on that, then it makes doing wide angle stuff pretty hard. You'd have to use an ultra wide angle lens, maybe even a fisheye, just to get a wide angle shot in slow motion. That's a very specific use case, but it is one that could come up. So it's something to bear in mind if you're gonna get this camera. Now, one thing is with the connectivity, I kind of avoided mentioning it on purpose for this specific section. We do not have an HDMI port. We have a micro HDMI port. Now I know, it's not, you know, it's not the end of the world. I mean, my S9 on the shelf over there has micro HDMI as well. And honestly, I don't use it. But if you do want to use a monitor so you have a larger screen for monitoring your exposure and your focus and everything, or, you know, having wireless follow focus and stuff like that, yeah, it's not great, but you can negate it. If you use accessories, you put a cage on this camera, you then have a little clamp thingy so that the cable is held into the port as strongly as possible, you kind of negate the problem a bit. I hear you, but there's ways around it. And, you know, if that is truly important to you and you need a full-size HDMI, I personally don't think it's the hugest difference, but then maybe this camera isn't right for you. Or if you need SDI, well, a mirrorless camera just isn't right then. You would have to go for a full-on cinema camera. Another area I see as a shortcoming for filmmakers here is you can't load LUTs onto the X-S20. And I feel like this is a weird one here. So there are Fujifilm recipes, which are basically, you have like a base color profile, which is built into all the Fujifilm cameras, and you can adjust settings to create a custom look, and that will be baked into your shot. Pretty cool, okay? But that's not actually what this point is about. What I like to do is have a monitoring LUT that is using my own LUTs so I know what the shot will look like once I color grade it in DaVinci Resolve. Now, I don't burn that look into my footage. I can using the real-time LUT feature on my Lumix cameras, but I just use it as a monitoring LUT. You can't even do that with the X-S20. And I find that a bit weird. There is an F-log to Rec 709 conversion monitoring LUT you can use, so I can see what I look like once I color grade myself, more or less here on the screen, but it isn't what it's gonna look like to you guys once I've color graded it in DaVinci Resolve and uploaded it to YouTube. And you know, it's not the end of the world for what I do, but for what someone is doing for a paid shoot, that could actually be really important. Your client could be asking why the colors look so weird, or, oh, the reds don't look how I want, this shot doesn't look how I want, and then you'll have to just tell them, don't worry, I will fix it in post. And honestly, when it comes to professional paid work, you want to have that confidence instilled into your client that you know what you're doing in every aspect. So I see this as a bit of a problem, but if you're using an external monitor that can load LUTs, which is like basically all of them nowadays, you can again get around this problem and make it not really a problem at all. So that is what it is, but it's something to bear in mind. If you were wondering if you could put LUTs onto your camera, you can. Now the last thing, and this is kind of a no duh, so I'll just briefly go over it, but this is very obviously a small mirrorless camera. It was designed for, well, things you would use a small mirrorless camera for. It is not a cinema style body. It is not a cinema camera. So expecting the world from it from a professional standpoint makes this video kind of silly in my opinion, but I also think it's valid because these little cameras are very capable. So seeing how it would hold up to a professional standard and the expectations from a professional workflow, I think it's kind of cool to discuss because this camera creates some great looking shots and it has some really good features. It does 10-bit 422. I should have mentioned that, by the way, 10-bit 422. So great codecs, great compression and everything. And whilst I think all of the shortcomings I've mentioned aren't exactly deal breakers, they are good to know because if those things matter a lot to you, especially with the sort of productions that you do for your professional workflows, they can be a problem. And if that's a repeated problem, it makes it a camera that you wouldn't really want to use compared to something else that doesn't present those problems. Now, this camera is very affordable. I think it's around $1,200 or so. I will correct myself on screen anyway if I'm wrong. And that means you're getting a lot for your money. And even though you don't get everything you want, you could just buy a more expensive camera. I mean, the S1 Mark II is like $3,000, I think, or $2,500 now. So you get a lot more for your money, but you still get a lot for your money with the X-S20. And as a professional filmmaker, I can appreciate that as well. This would make an excellent B camera, I think, as well, or honestly, I could see myself using it for a whole production. So what are my final thoughts on the X-S20 as a professional filmmaker? Clearly, this camera can create a beautiful shot. It captures great images, the color science is great, the 422 10-bit, 6K, 6.2K, sorry, open gate. Fantastic. We have professional things in this camera. We have decent connectivity as well, and monitoring options, and things that I think most filmmakers would be very happy with. It's also fast and efficient with those custom modes that you can access using the dial, but I don't think it's for everybody. I think it falls short in some areas that could be repeatedly annoying things for people, and that alone would make it a camera that not everybody will want to use for professional filmmaking. Does that mean it's not capable of it? Absolutely not. But what matters when it comes to buying a camera is what matters more to you. What specific situations do you find yourself filming time and time again? What specific features do you use time and time again from the cameras you already own? And if you are looking for your first camera, I think this is a fantastic option. It offers a lot for the money and it can get you to a certain point in your filmmaking career that honestly, like 5 years ago, you would have to spend so much more money to be able to get to. I mean, the 6.2K open gate, and we have good autofocus in this camera too. It is a mixture of phase detect and contrast, so it's like reliable autofocus. You can do a lot with this camera. I think for professional filmmakers, that's probably all you can ask for. But of course, like I said, certain things you may need, and that's where this camera could fall short. So let me know in the comments below if this camera meets your expectations as a professional filmmaker. And while you're down there, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we are so close to 5,000 subscribers, at least at the time of recording. I don't know if we have hit it by this point. That'd be really cool. But that's crazy because that's like a stadium or 2 stadiums of people. That's insane. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. And YouTube just told me to tell you guys that you're gonna enjoy this video a lot.